It is amazing what you can accomplish if you do not care who gets the credit. Not all readers are leaders, but all leaders are readers. The only thing new in the world is the history you don't know. Fame is a vapor, popularity is an accident. Riches take wings. Those who cheer today may curse tomorrow, and only one thing endures: character. I never did give them hell. I just told the truth, and they thought it was hell. If you can't convince them, confuse them. Suppose you were an idiot, and suppose you were a Republican. But I repeat myself. We must remember that the test of our religious principles lies not just in what we say, not only in our prayers, not even in living blameless lives, but in what we do for others. Selfishness and greed, individual or national, cause most of our troubles. Tact is the ability to step on a man's toes without messing up the shine on his shoes. The Republicans believe in the minimum wage. The more the minimum, the better. I have found the best way to give advice to your children is to find out what they want and then advise them to do it. Never kick a fresh turd on a hot day. My choice early in life was either to be a piano player in a whorehouse or a politician, and to tell the truth, there is hardly any difference. In reading the lives of great men, I found that the first victory they won was over themselves. Self-discipline with all of them came first. America was not built on fear. America was built on courage, on imagination, and unbeatable determination to do the job at hand. Once a decision was made, I didn't worry about it afterward. A pessimist is one who makes difficulties of his opportunities, and an optimist is one who makes opportunities of his difficulties. There is nothing better than cake, but more cake. Show me a man that gets rich by being a politician, and I will show you a crook. Whenever you have an efficient government, you have a dictatorship. Republicans don't like people to talk about depressions. You can hardly blame them for that. You remember the old saying? Don't talk about rope in the house where somebody has been hanged. The reward of suffering is experience. I never would have agreed to the formulation of the Central Intelligence Agency back in 47 if I had known it would become the American Gestapo. The C students run the world. It is ignorance that causes most mistakes. Give me a one-handed economist. All my economists say on hand, then but on the other. I come to the office each morning and stay for long hours, doing what has to be done to the best of my ability. And when you've done the best you can do any better. In most of my campaigns, I find it is best not to mention my opponent by name because by doing so, it just gives him a chance to get into the headlines. Carry the battle to them. Don't let them bring it to you. Put them on the defensive and don't ever apologize for anything. We must have strong minds, ready to accept facts as they are. The most peaceful thing in the world is plowing a field. Chances are you will do your best thinking that way. And that's why I've always thought and said farmers are the smartest people in the world. They don't go for high hats and they can spot a phony a mile off. When even one American who has done nothing wrong is forced by fear to shut his mind and close his mouth, then all Americans are in peril. If you can dance, then you are a loser. Brave men don't belong to any one country. I respect bravery wherever I see it. Men often mistake notoriety for fame and would rather be noticed for their vices than not be noticed at all. Human life is something that comes to us from beyond the world, and the purpose of our society is to cherish it and to enable the individual to attain the highest achievement of which he is capable. Believe, and you are halfway there. How many times do you have to get hit over the head until you figure out who's hitting you? No nation on this globe should be more internationally minded than America because it was built by all nations. A person who is fundamentally honest doesn't need a code of ethics. The Ten Commandments and the Sermon on the Mount are all the ethical code anybody needs. I doubt if there is any problem in the world today, social, political, or economic, that would not find a happy solution if approached in the spirit of the Sermon on the Mount. Experience has shown how deeply the seeds of war are planted by economic rivalry and social injustice. Men make history and not the other way around. In periods where there is no leadership, society stands still. Progress occurs when courageous, skillful leaders seize the opportunity to change things for the better. Actions are the seeds of fate. Deeds grow into destiny. There is a lure in power. It can get into a man's blood just as gambling and lust for money have been known to do. He was a windbag. He made a great many orations, and I imagine he did a very good job, but he was still a windbag. The only things worth learning are the things you learn after you know it all. I shall continue to do what I think is right, whether anybody likes it or not. Since childhood, at my mother's knee, I have believed in honor, ethics, and right living as its own reward. I find a very small minority who agree with me on that premise. If you can read this, thank a teacher. The responsibility of the great states is to serve and not to dominate the world. I hope for some sort of peace, but I fear that machines are ahead of morals by some centuries, and when morals catch up, there will be no reason for any of it. I don't believe in anti anything. A man has to have a program. You have to be for something, otherwise, you will never get anywhere. A president cannot always be popular. Politics, sure, is the ruination of many a good man. The dictators of the world say that if you tell a lie often enough, people will believe it. Well, if you tell the truth often enough, they will believe it and go along with you. I feel we are too much concerned with material things to remember that our real strength lies in spiritual values. You can never get all the facts from just one newspaper, and unless you have all the facts, you cannot make proper judgments about what is going on. Everybody wants something at the expense of everybody else, and nobody thinks much of the other fellow. You can't have anything worthwhile without difficulties. If you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. Imperfect action is better than perfect inaction. You know when people can get excited over the ordinary things in life, they live. My definition of a leader in a free country is a man who can persuade people to do what they don't want to do or do what they are too lazy to do and like it. Always be sincere, even if you don't mean it. It is important to the peace of the world to understand each other and have full faith in each other's sincerity. That is all we ask, that is all we want. Within the first few months, I discovered that being president is like riding a tiger. A man has to keep on riding or be swallowed. An expert is someone who doesn't want to learn anything new because then he would not be an expert. Nearly every crisis seems to be the worst one, but after it's over, it isn't so bad.